Nammo Didapha. Good morning. Thank you for joining me for our daily practice check-in. Listen, listen, listen. This beautiful sound calls us back to our true home. The third mindfulness training. Aware of the suffering caused by sexual misconduct, I vow to cultivate responsibility and learn ways to protect the safety and integrity of individuals, couples, families, and society. I'm determined not to engage in sexual relations without love and a long-term commitment. To preserve the happiness of myself and others, I'm determined to respect my commitments and the commitments of others. I will do everything in my power to protect children from sexual abuse and to prevent couples and families from being broken by sexual misconduct. For Dharma reading today, we're finishing the Dhamma talk called Meeting Death and Sadness by Ajahn Candasiri from the book called The Body, Dhamma Reflections on Aging, Illness, and Death by the nuns of Amaravati. The second characteristic that's important for us to appreciate is dukkha, which refers to both the unsatisfactoriness of unpleasant conditions and the fact that even pleasant conditions don't last. They won't provide lasting satisfaction. All the things we experience as human beings in the world of conditions arise and cease. They all have an unsatisfactory aspect. The third really important characteristic for us to appreciate is what we call anatta, or not self. One way of appreciating this quality of not self is to investigate whether you can find an actual self. In fact, we create this sense of selfhood without ever really questioning it. Where is it? Is it in the body? If you contemplate your own body in a particular way, you can ask, is the self my hand? My finger? Maybe it's here in my heart. Maybe that's where my self is. Or maybe it's up here in my head. So we can ask, where am I? Or is my name, my profession, my gender, my role as a self, what I am essentially? The Buddha encourages us to contemplate our life in this way. So we come to see that neither the body nor the mind is a self. Feelings are not a self. Thoughts, ideas are not a self. They are not who and what we essentially are. However, rather than struggling to arrive at an idea about what we are, we can be more peaceful just to be what we are, because it doesn't matter what we are. We are. There's something here, but it's not something we need to explain, describe, or fix as a solid personal identity. So these are some thoughts we can consider when we encounter suffering and death. They highlight the importance of putting our feet on this path of practice and appreciating the possibility of liberation from the suffering of this human existence. Then, although we will certainly still experience sorrow when those we love die or go away from us, we won't need to struggle with it. We'll be able to experience sadness and death with a sense of peace because they're a natural part of life, as our birth and joy. We don't have to identify with them, to cling to birth and joy, or seek to avoid sorrow and death. We can simply experience them, allowing life to flow. Like everything else, they too will pass. May all beings be well. May all beings be happy. May all beings be peaceful. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you for joining me this morning.